Okay, let's just jump right in. What if everything you thought you knew about reality, about time itself, about who you are, was just wrong? Today, we're going to unpack a massive idea, a whole new blueprint for reality that connects, and you're not going to believe this, the fabric of the cosmos with our broken education system. And it all starts with one single mind-bending thought.
Just let that sink in for a second. You are not particles moving through time. We usually picture ourselves as, things moving forward through time. But this flips that script completely. It says we're the stable thing, this structure, this pattern, and it's all the possibilities around us that are constantly swirling and changing. That one little shift in how you see things, well, that's the key to everything we're about to talk about. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like some cool philosophical idea, right? But here's the kicker. This wasn't just some random thought. When this very concept was fed to a bunch of different super advanced AIs, they all, completely on their own, flagged it as revolutionary. I mean, these are systems built to find patterns in chaos, and they basically raised a huge red flag saying, whoa, pay attention to this. This changes everything.
All right, so what is this new way of looking at the universe? It actually has a name, structural cosmology. Let's get into what that means, and we're going to start with its biggest, most radical idea.
First up, let's talk about time, the way we experience it, as this river flowing from past to future. This model says that's not actually real. It calls time a cognitive compression artifact. Okay, that sounds complicated, but think of it this way. A map of the world is flat, right? It's a simple 2D version of a super complex 3D globe. That map is a compression artifact. Well, our brains are doing the exact same thing with a much more complex 4D reality. They're giving us a simplified map so we can function, and we just happen to call that map time.
So, if that's time, then what are we in this picture? I absolutely love how this quote puts it. We are energy that hesitated long enough to cast shadows. That's beautiful, right? We're that moment when all that pure potential, all those collapsing probabilities we talked about, finally settles down and takes a stable shape. We're the structures in the chaos. And get this, from this perspective, our consciousness isn't just some random evolutionary fluke. It's the universe's way of looking back at itself. Pretty wild.
Okay, that's all fascinating, mind-bending stuff about the cosmos. But you're probably asking, so what? How does this affect my life? Well, that's exactly where we're going next. The argument is that our old way of seeing things, as just little particles getting pushed around, has made us passive in our thinking. It's led to a real crisis in how we question, or don't question, the world around us.
And when I say crisis, I am not exaggerating. Check out this number. A huge study from Stanford found that 96%, let me say that again, 96% of high school students could not spot fake news or biased sources online. They just couldn't tell the difference. That's like sending them into a jungle without a compass. It's a huge problem.
And look, the problem isn't the kids. It's the system we've built. We've basically swapped teaching them how to think, with inquiry, analysis, questioning everything, for teaching them what to think. It's all about memorization, rote learning, and acing the test. We're getting really good at producing great test takers, but not so great critical thinkers. And that is the heart of this crisis.
So, if the system's broken, how do we fix it? Well, the answer proposed here isn't just about small changes to schools. It's a massive blueprint for rethinking our entire society. It's called the Human First Renaissance. And the goal is simple, but huge: to build systems where human well-being is always the top priority.
And the core ideas here are, well, they're a pretty big shift from how things are now. We're talking about putting people first always, choosing truth even when it's uncomfortable, recognizing that empathy isn't some soft skill, it's a core part of intelligence. And look, this isn't about tearing down capitalism. It's about building a better version. Capitalism with a conscience. A system where everyone has access to the tools they need to grow.
Okay, so this isn't just about huge societal changes. This blueprint actually scales all the way down to you and me, to how we raise our kids. So, how do we use these ideas to help build stronger, more resilient people from the ground up?
I love this line. I don't raise kids, I raise adults. It's such a simple but powerful idea. The goal isn't to wrap our kids in bubble wrap and protect them from everything. It's the opposite. It's about preparing them for the real world, teaching them how to handle setbacks, how to deal with disappointment, because that's how you build a capable adult.
All right, now we need to talk about a really common myth, one we've all heard. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Sounds good, but the material we're looking at says that's just wrong and kind of dangerous. Trauma isn't some wise teacher.
It's a test, a brutal one. It doesn't magically build character, it just shows you what character, what coping skills you walked into it with.
So, if the event itself doesn't make you stronger, what does? It's your response. That's the key. Resilience isn't something you just have, it's something you do. It's the hard work of healing, of adapting, of making sense of what happened. The growth doesn't happen during the event, it happens in everything you do after.
And that brings us full circle, right back to AI. Remember how we started, with AI flagging these ideas as revolutionary? But its role here is way more complicated than that. It's a classic double-edged sword. It's part of the reason we're in this critical thinking mess, but it also might be the most powerful tool we have to get ourselves out.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Is AI going to be our biggest problem or our best solution? Is it going to be the thing that dumbs us down or the tool that sparks a new renaissance of thinking? Because the tech itself, it's just a tool. It's neutral. What it becomes is completely up to us.
First, let's be real about the problems. The algorithms that power so much of our world, they're not built for truth. They're built to keep you scrolling, and that creates these crazy echo chambers. It fuels this truth decay where we can't even agree on basic facts, and yeah, it's shortening our attention spans. It's a real issue.
Okay, but now let's flip it and look at the solution side. And this is where it gets genuinely exciting. Just imagine, what if every single student on the planet had their own personal tutor, one that's infinitely patient, that knows exactly how they learn best, an AI that can see when a kid is getting confused and jump in to help right then, not a week later on a test. That's the potential we're talking about. It's a total game changer for education.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. We've gone from the very nature of time and space all the way to AI tutors and parenting. But if you look at this whole blueprint, it all boils down to one simple thing: the courage to question our deepest assumptions. And that brings us to one last big thought to leave you with. This is really the whole point of this entire explainer. If something as fundamental as our experience of time is really just a mental shortcut, a little trick our brain plays on us to make sense of things, then what else? What other facts about the world, about ourselves, are just convenient stories we've been telling ourselves? And more importantly, what part of your reality is just a shortcut waiting for you to question it?